how are you really going to look me and every black student in the eye and say, that shit's not real? It's like so, it's like humiliating to think that like a professor at this university like actually believes all that stuff.
Systemic racism. Is there systemic or institutionalized racism in America? Let's see. In 1960, 60% of Americans said that they would never vote for a black president. In 2008, Barack Obama was elected. And 4 years later, in 2012, he was re-elected. That is not systemic racism.
All four of your names together, that you will be working on the project of like pulling clips and or quotes. If you want to do it digitally or like just manually, either one works.
Publicly confront the fact that he was wrong. Like, I just want him acknowledgement from him, whether or not that means an apology and acknowledgement, or just acknowledgement, or just, I would just prefer him to just acknowledge that he was wrong.
Just black student at Mercer, trying to get my voice out. That's that. When black people are hurting and we're saying that a part of it is the system, when you say that the system isn't at fault, you're just making it like we're just down in the dumps. For like we did this to ourselves.
In New York, for example, the population black is only 25%, but they represent 55% of the people stopped for traffic violations. Evidence of racism, you say? I think not. To understand this, we need to take a look at crime rates. Blacks represent only 13% of the population in the US, but they commit 50% of the nation's homicides. And most of the victims of those homicides are actually black.
The statistic that kept pissing me off the most was if 50% of crimes committed are by African Americans, and that stat, like, my mind, because I was just like, committed versus convicted, let's start there. Number two, it's also like, we know that the justice system like is corrupt and is flawed and was literally created via slavery, and is like, that is why the justice system is what it is today. So how are you gonna try and tell me that that shit is just? Like, is it just? Can I cuss? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah.
I would say that it started off as maybe an academic debate, but I think that even though it was an academic debate, that doesn't leave room for racism. Saravia, so caught up in the stats, but the statistics themselves were not like factual in 2019. And then I just think that the things that he said had pretty poor implications on the lives of black students at Mercer.
Instead of doing like what some people thought he was gonna do and saying like, I was playing devil's advocate, like blah, 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 he literally was like, no, I said all of that with my whole entire chest on camera for a reason. I believe it. Here are the facts, and just kept waving around that fucking packet of paper.
So the fact that he went as far as to say that systematic racism doesn't exist in front of an audience of black students that are telling him instances of things occurring on campus, outside of campus. And so it just kind of shows that even though he's a professor, he's still kind of uneducated in the topic, so he shouldn't be given a platform to speak about things that he doesn't know about.
So he basically like said police brutality and like racist thought processes are okay because of freedom of thought, and also because like of some bullshit statistics that he found that he didn't even want to like take the time to like unpack and deconstruct.
It makes me feel kind of wary about taking like his class specifically, but then the fact that professors are supposed to be the ones to help guide us through our times, you know, we're growing up, and he would sit there and deny the lives and the experiences of students or people who could possibly be in his class, people that might be taking his class.
But basically, we've created a coalition of students who were at the Part 2, a couple of people who weren't at the Part 2 but are like heavily involved in the social justice sphere on campus, or who are like have the space to do all of that, to basically like make sure that Saravia is held accountable for his actions so that these actions don't happen again in the future.
I would like to see him release an apology and not just like, you know, an ass one where he's just restating what he said, or like, I'm sorry that I offended you. But it's also I know that he doesn't really care at this point, so I want to see administration like do some work with him.
It really is just like an accountability and also a prevention program that we're trying to create of like, we need an apology that is sincere, we need education, we need like so many different things.
Maybe some limitations on the things that he can do now, like maybe, I think that was his second debate where he said some stuff, so I think like maybe he shouldn't be allowed to be in debates anymore.
We're basically trying to take the steps to spread the word about what happened, because a lot of people don't know, and then like past that, like actually get change, because like Mercer is notorious for just brushing racism, specifically towards Black people, under the rug.
I think it means that even when we try to speak up, our voices aren't heard. Even in a place where we pay to go to, like we're a minority on this campus, it shows that like we still don't matter.